You know who that is. You know who that is on the screen, baby boy. That's your boy with the juiced up flow on my juiced up show. About to give you some juiced up takes. Here we go. Episode 16 of the program. Here we go, man. No Instagrams. Woo! Gotta drop a quick freestyle. Cause you know I get a little wild. So enjoy the show. Here we motherfucking go. Yo, 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 welcome to the Juiced Up Show. I'm your host, Jake Juiced Up Accardo. This is episode 16 of the program. Thanks for joining us. The Juiced Up Show is basically ESPN meets TMZ. We do pop culture, anything sports related, obviously, anything that's going viral, any type of clickbait on social media. If it's worth talking about it, I'll talk about it. The do's and don'ts of the Juiced Up Show. We don't do politics. We don't do religion. Everything else we do. So holla at your boy. Episode 16 this week. We got a good little rundown. We're going to do an NFL recap of last week. We're going to do an NFL preview of the week coming up. We'll talk about the game last night between the Cowboys and Lions, which actually turned out to be a pretty good game. Cowboys got down by a little bit, but we're able to come back and try to make a last-minute run. But just kind of didn't have enough time on the clock to come back. And then we'll also go over the last college football playoff rankings of the regular season as we head into the conference championship games. And then we're also going to talk about some top 5 rivalries, in my opinion, of all time that I like to watch as a kid growing up. Because we had the Michigan-Ohio State game this past Saturday, which is like the biggest rivalry probably in any sport, out there. So we'll talk about that. And then at the end of the show, of course, it's the Juice Up Takes. All right, so like I said, first topic is going to be NFL recap. We're going to talk about Week 13, and then we'll go into Week 14 and the games that I like and that I'm looking forward to watching this week coming up. So, yeah, Week 13, there's 18 weeks in the NFL season, but only 17 games because of bye week. So it's really coming down to crunch time now. Division winners are on the line. Wild card spots are on the line. So it's really getting down to the nitty-gritty, and it's getting down to who's got the most nutrition, who's the healthiest, and who's the best coach, and who's the most disciplined. So last week we had Packers at Lions. Packers ended up winning that game 31-24. Coach LaFleur was in his bag, couldn't call a wrong play. Jordan Love couldn't do anything wrong neither. He was in the zone, and they played a great game. Lions struggled. They tried to hang in there, as the Lions do. Coach Campbell with these fourth down calls constantly I would hate to be a Lions fan because it annoys the shit out of me just watching the games. Like, bro, kick a fucking field goal. Kick a fucking field goal, please. Please, for your team's sake, for the fan base sake, just put some fucking points on the board, man. Okay? Especially when you go 0 for 2 on fourth down, you just keep going for it. Because are you just that stubborn or are you just that moronic? That's what I'm starting to wonder. I think Coach Campbell definitely got some CTE issues going on. So calm down on the fourth downs, kick some field goals, give your team a little momentum, stop putting your defense in bad situations, and stop running man defense so much. Switch up some zones. That's why you guys get so many PI calls, because you're putting these dudes out on islands and covering these great receivers. So that was one of the games in Week 13. The other one was Cowboys and Chiefs. Cowboys pulled it off 31-28. Chiefs are definitely on the downward trajectory. They have a big game coming up this weekend against the Texans. This is definitely playoff implications on the line for both teams. Texans are on a good run right now, have a good winning streak going. And like I said, Chiefs are not looking like the Chiefs of old. So we'll see how they do. I got 2 tackles and a guard out, I believe, this week going up against that Texans defense and that Texans D-line with Daniil, and then you got Anderson over there. So that's going to be a tough matchup for the Chiefs. Luckily, they're at home. We'll see how they do. Stroud's coming back of his second game now. Davis Mills was able to, keep the ship together, keep the winning streak alive. So we'll see how they play out. Bears at Eagles was a great game. Bears actually took that one surprisingly to everybody. It was a 24-15 victory. Caleb Williams, still not the biggest fan of his, but they're winning games, so what can you say? If you're a Bears fan, you love him to death probably. He does have a low completion accuracy, so those are things that he'll have to work on over time, but Coach Ben Johnson's been coaching them up. They're playing well ball. Swift's running hard. The O-line is moving dudes around, so the Bears are definitely a surprise, and they're at top of the NFC North right now. And then the other game of the week that interested me was the Rams and Panthers. Rams came out hot. Stafford was in his bags. He was dookie on fools, and then he threw a couple picks. And one of those picks happened to be a pick six. And that was a difference probably in the game because they lost 31-28. So if he doesn't throw that pick six, they win by 4 points. They'll bounce back. I still like them as my Super Bowl favorites. And then this week coming up, week 14, like I talked about it earlier, we have the Texans at Chiefs. That's going to be a great game to watch on Sunday Night Football. So we'll see how that pans out. And then we have the Bears at Packers with division championship implications on the line. I never thought I would say the Bears have division championship implications on the line, but they do. And we'll see how they do in this game. This is going to be a great test for them at Lambeau. Jordan Love, like I said, coming out of his bag. They both are coming off of extra time off, because I remember the Bears played on Black Friday, and then the Packers played on Thanksgiving. So they're both coming off about the same amount of time off, and we'll see how that game pans out. And then last night on the Thursday night game, we had Cowboys at Lions. Unfortunately, the Cowboys got themselves into a hole, and they weren't able to dig themselves out. And then all that everyone could talk about on Friday was Pickens' effort on the field, which it's always been an issue. So the fact that it took this long for it to become an issue, kudos to him for holding out as long as he did. But everyone shows their true colors at the end. This guy's a head case. That's why the Steelers got rid of him. They didn't want to deal with him. And we'll see how this moves on going forward. Coach Schottenheimer was quoted saying that, he doesn't judge this one game on Pickens. He looks at the whole body of work, which is good coach talk. But basically, he's going to pull him in his office and say, hey, look, motherfucker, you run your route, you play hard, and you go hard when you're on the field. That's basically what it's going to come down to. They'll keep that behind closed doors. So hopefully he's held accountable, and hopefully, they can bounce back this week coming up. All right, next topic, we have the college football playoff rankings. So we had Michigan and Ohio State, big rivalry game. Michigan had the upper hand last 4 years, beating Ohio State. Ohio State finally came back, got the W at Ann Arbor. Was a great game. Ohio State played well. They held down that number one ranking all season, never lost a game. Didn't play the toughest schedule, I'm not going to lie. They didn't play the toughest schedule, so we'll see how their conference championship goes this weekend against Indiana. Didn't play a tough schedule neither. Their best one was probably Oregon on their belt, and we'll see how they do. So the top football playoff rankings, so it's 12 teams that make the playoffs. We have Ohio State at 1, Indiana at 2, Georgia at 3, Texas Tech at 4, Oregon at 5, Ole Miss at 6 after they just lost Lane Kiffin. I don't get why he left. You created this program. You built this program up. You're doing well. You did better than LSU did, the team that you went to. So I don't get why guys want to jump ship when they created these programs. They built them up, and they think that the grass is going to be greener on the other side. I felt like if he'd stayed at Ole Miss and went to the playoffs and advanced a couple rounds or maybe one round, it would have elevated his recruiting even more, and he probably could have stole players from LSU's recruitment. So that's unfortunate for them, and I hope Ole Miss comes out and just starts smacking everybody, and they go to the championship, and this guy has to sit on his couch and watch the guys that he coached, thinking, hey, I could have been coaching a championship game right now, because it's not guaranteed at LSU that you're going to make a championship game or even the playoffs for that fact. So that's unfortunate for them. Texas A&M is at 7, Oklahoma 8, Alabama 9, and then we have Notre Dame at 10, BYU at 11, and Miami at 12, rounding out the top 12 playoff teams for the college football rankings. So with that being said, we've got Alabama and Georgia playing this weekend, I believe. I think that's going to be a great game. I think there's a lot of chatter about Notre Dame because they lost to Miami and they're ranked over Miami. But I think, and then also Texas being at 13, they just beat Texas A&M. They have a lot of good wins on their belt. They played a tough schedule. Yeah, they have 3 losses, but their losses weren't against horrible teams, and they beat really good teams. So it's unfortunate for Texas that they might not even get in unless BYU loses and then they get pushed out and they move up Miami and Texas. So we'll see how that all plays out. Texas Tech has been a team that was kind of coming in under the radar. Come to find out, they spent a lot of money on their defensive line, and it all worked out for them, being the fact that they're at number 4 right now. So we'll see how this weekend pans out with all the division winners, all the conference championship winners. And then the fact that Notre Dame's independent, they're kind of just going to be stuck at 10 probably because they have no other games to play. So we'll see how the college football playoff rankings work out. I think it's going to be a great playoff. I think it feels pretty open. I don't think Ohio State is a lock to win it. I don't think Indiana's a lock to win it neither. I think it could be an Alabama. It could be Oklahoma, maybe. Their offense kind of sputters a little bit here and there. They did play a great game against Alabama in Bama and won that game. Very defensive battle. So we'll see how it goes. I'm rooting for Oregon, being a hometown guy. I'm from Oregon. I'm living in Oregon right now, so I hope the Ducks win, and we'll see how it goes. So that's our college football playoff rankings. And then with that being said, we're going to shoot over to now my top 5 rivalries in sports. Number 1, we already talked about, was Michigan, Ohio State. Next up, I like the Bulls and Knicks of the 90s. I'm an 84. I'm an 80s baby, born in 1984. And I got to watch Jordan and those boys, Horace Grant, Scotty, BJ Armstrong. All those guys back in the day, Horace Grant, Luke Longley, Dennis Rodman. So I got to watch these guys in the early 90s and, to the mid 90s. And the Knicks they had squads too, and they had some rough riders. I'm talking dudes that will scrap your ass. Like, not one of these dudes that's want to point fingers and push you. No, these dudes will scrap your ass. So I would say the Knicks had, Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason, R.I.P. to my dude, Patrick Ewing, John Starks. I like John Starks. That dude, because I'm a smaller guy that played basketball, and he was undersized for point guard position he played. That guy was a rider. He was a rider. He was out there dunking. He had boosties. So that was one of my favorite rivalries growing up. You have the Niners and the Cowboys of the 90s going back and forth for the NFC Championship, going to the Super Bowl. The Niners were finally able to get over the hump in 95 when they played my Chargers and smacked the shit out of us. We weren't even superior to that team. We shouldn't even been in the Super Bowl. But, that was a great moment to being a Charger fan, to see us in the game. And, maybe one day before I die, we'll win one. Hopefully. That's my dream. Next up would be Oklahoma, Texas, Red River rivalry. Big one also. That's like the Michigan, Ohio State of the South. That's a good rivalry going. And then you got Alabama and Georgia. Alabama and Georgia, man. They're both winning programs. They consistently win. And that's what creates a rivalry. You can't have a rivalry when one team sucks and one team's good. Maybe in college you could, because that like turns it up more, like Auburn, Alabama type stuff. But when it comes to like pro sports, you can't have the Raiders and Chargers a rivalry when the Raiders are 2-10 and the Chargers are this, or you can't say the Chiefs are rival with these guys when they're this, or, and vice versa, or however it may be. So I like those are my top four. Those are my top five rivalries. We got Michigan, Ohio State, Bulls and Knicks, 49ers and Cowboys of the early 90s, Oklahoma, Texas, Red River rivalry, and then we got Alabama and Georgia. Those are my top five favorite rivalries. Shoot me a comment if you like, if you want to comment on what rivalries are your favorite, or if I missed one, or if you want to throw in a little extras. I'd love to hear it. Also, subscribe to the show. Want to hear anybody's feedback, what they think of what's going on with the program. And, I love just to get that feedback. I'm going to amp this shit up in 2026. I'm going to amp this shit up. We're going to get juiced up in 2026, boy. So, we're just getting started right now. We're just getting the ball rolling. I'm doing shows about every other week right now. I'm hoping to get more content going with the shorts, stuff like that. So, comment, subscribe, pass it along. Help a brother out. Help a brother out. A brother would help you out if you needed it. Lend a hand to a player. So that's my top five rivalries. And then next up at the end of the show, it's the juiced up takes. All right, so one of the juiced up takes I love was this story. I'm sure people have already seen it. It's been viral. This raccoon that broke into a Virginia liquor store, got faded, passed out in the bathroom next to the toilet. So this raccoon was smart enough to know, hey man, I'm about to throw up. I got to get to the toilet. And they animal rescue was able to get it. It was passed out. Hopefully he sobered up. Got a little liquid IV going, some vitamin B, and hopefully he's living a fairly good life. And that just shows you, man, that just shows you this economy, it's not stressing just humans out, it's stressing animals out. So that fool had to get his fade on. Hopefully he's a J-Mo guy like myself, a little smoke, a little drink, take the stress off of himself. So I thought that was a funny story, the drunk raccoon. And then another one I wanted to talk about is just because, people going through life shit. I'm going through some life shit, marriage, older daughter, kids, death, all that stuff. But I watched this show, Landman, on Paramount Plus. Great show, starting season 2. My guy Billy Bob is in there. Billy Bob Thornton, great actor. He plays his parts well. Any part he's in, he's playing it well. They got Demi Moore in there. They got some good actors on this show. But the reason I bring this up, this last episode of Landman, he had a quote in the start of it, and he said, "Sometimes life just slaps you with its big dick right in your head." And I was chuckling the shit out of myself when I heard that, and I had to rewind it like 3 times because that literally did hit the nail on the head type stuff. And it's sometimes life is just gonna smack the shit out of you. It's gonna test you. It's gonna stress you, and you just gotta hang in there. And you just gotta go with the flow, go with the punches, tread through them rough waters, and you'll get to calmer waters, you'll get to better scenery. And once you do, you'll appreciate those tough times, and you'll know that you can make it through anything. And like my boy Tupac said, RIP, what don't kill me only makes me stronger. So if you're out there struggling in life and you're stressing out, hey, you're not by yourself. Reach out to a homie, reach out to a family member, just vent, chat it up, chop it up, do what you got to do. You know, don't turn to substances, because after that, once you're done, once the high's gone down, once the drunk's gone down, your problems are still there. They're not going away. So sometimes you just got to deal with shit head on when that dick slaps you in the head, and that's life. And, you know, everybody hang in there. That's my inspiration to people that are going to watch this video. Just hang in there, man. Hang in there, okay? Every day ain't the same. You don't have to let it be the same. And life is just a funny thing. Life can bring you up. It can bring you down. It can get you to the highest of highs. It can get you to the lowest of lows. But it's on you as a person to make the best of your situation and what you got going on. And that's my 2 juiced up takes for today. Like I said, hit like, hit subscribe, share the content. Let me know what you think. Give me some comments up in this piece. I want to hear some feedback. Let me know what's going down in your life. Let me know how you feel. I also dropped a short recently, my top 5 TV show intros. Check that out. Let me know what you guys think about that. I want to hear people's opinions. There's so many damn good shows out there. It was hard to like think of just 5. So I just thought of the 5 best that I like personally, shows that I watch. But I'm sure there's plenty of good TV show intros out there that I've never seen before. So yeah, just let me know. Just, you know, hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let me know what you guys think. Next week, or hopefully the next week or so, we'll drop episode 17. And then 2026, we're going to get this motherfucker cracking. That's for sure. Enjoy the program. I hope you guys enjoyed my content for today. Peace and love. Happy Friday. Enjoy the weekend, man. Till next time.